Woke up, the sunshine through the blinds. Coffee fills the air, oh so kind. Stretch out the dreams from my mind. Granny's got the scoop, let's unwind. Birds are chirping, singing their tune. Mystery of the day coming soon. Cup of tea and a buttered scone. Start the day, we're never alone. Good morning, rise and shine. Granny's here with stories so fine. Good morning, off we go. To greet the world with a happy glow. Windows open, smell the dew. Sky so wide, oh so blue. Granny's voice like honey sweet. Good news travels on our street. Time to jump into the fray. Cheers to another golden day. Granny's voice like honey sweet. Good news travels on our street. Good morning, rise and shine. Granny's here with stories so fine. Good morning, off we go. To greet the world with a happy glow. Good morning, rise and shine. Granny's here with stories so fine. Good morning, off we go. To greet the world with a happy glow.
Good morning, everybody. How is everybody this fine morning? I hope you're all doing well. Today, I wanted to touch base on the Brian Koberger case. Actually, I'd rather say the Idaho 4 case, right? Because it's about these kids, right? Kaylee Gonzalez, Ethan Chapin, Maddie Mogan, and Xana Chernobyl. It's about them. Brian is currently preparing for his trial, right? And I have to say, guys, he has a heck of a good defense lawyer. I don't know how he rates this, but he does, right? He's got her, and she is fighting to keep the DNA out. You know, the trial's coming up this year, and she is fighting to keep out the DNA. I just want to play a little short clip of what this judge is saying to Ann Taylor, Brian's attorney, right? And then I want to give you a reaction from Kaylee Gonzalez's dad. Okay, so let's go ahead and listen to the judge. I'm just going to play a short clip of it, okay?
We don't have any quality assurances. It's not reliable.
You're not asserting that Mr. Koberger's DNA sample was uploaded into any of those databases, that his was, like, for example, his own DNA was one that was matched from the crime scene. Not asking whether the crime scene DNA was uploaded, but whether he had, as a, for example, customer of one of these companies, uploaded his DNA.
Well, Your Honor, I don't have the jed.com file. I don't have.
You're not asserting that fact, correct?
Your Honor, I'm not sure what the court is asking me.
Well, it goes to whether or not your client has standing to complain about the searches of the databases, because as the state has posited, That wasn't his DNA that was searched. At best, it was his ancestors.
Well, Your Honor, I am not sure why we're here if the state hasn't alleged that Brian Koberger's DNA was on the knife
No,
sheath.
I'm not talking about the knife sheath DNA. I'm talking about what they tried to match it to.
Your Honor, I would answer it this way. The way that those databases work is looking for shared DNA. Those databases don't churn out a name and say this is
I have
our
a privacy
suspect.
interest against any of my relatives that might want to upload their DNA to one of those systems. I should be able to stop them from doing that because I share some DNA with them.
That is certainly not what I'm saying. What I am saying, Your Honor, is if somebody takes your DNA and uploads it, I think you have a privacy interest in your own DNA.
But not necessarily in, let's say my DNA is taken lawfully. What privacy interest do I have in the search of the DNA of others?
That's a loaded question.
Why is it a loaded question? Isn't it a factual question?
Well, it is, Judge, but you're assuming that the DNA was taken lawfully, and our position.
I agree. That part is an assumption. In my hypothetical, I said my DNA was taken lawfully. Why would I have standing to object to the search of other people's DNA simply because I might share some genetic information with them because they are distantly related to me?
Well, Your Honor, our position is that this work was not done lawfully, that it was unlawful, that there needed to be a warrant, that this was done outside of a warrant. And I'm not asserting on behalf of anybody else in this, any relative, anybody who might have been named or not named. This is about an identification process. It needed to be a lawful process. It wasn't a lawful process. It was in violation of Mr. Koberger's rights. I don't know how he cannot.
How is it in violation of his rights?
Excuse me?
How is it in violation of his rights?
Well, Your Honor, he's been in custody
You're
for
saying
2
that
years.
I understand your position, which frankly is not well supported in the law, that if hypothetically here, he went to this crime scene, committed these murders, and left DNA on a piece of evidence, that he now has the ability to object to that evidence being searched for identification purposes. There's no case that suggests that concludes that. And it seems to me to be an extreme position to take in light of the case law. And I'm trying to understand how you get there.
Well, I think Your Honor is asking me about things that I anticipated the state would argue, their abandonment theory. And I would remind the court that the Ross case said that abandonment is a knowing intentional leaving of something, for one thing. For the other thing, I think that the court is asking me to take a position where it feels like burden shifting to me.
No, I'm trying to understand the legal argument and how this is different from example from latent fingerprints.
Well, Your Honor, I think that things like latent fingerprints and like CODIS, there's statutes about CODIS in Idaho, about what's allowed in CODIS. This is a different search. This isn't an STR search. That's what happens in CODIS. This is a different search.
So I'm going now to, I'm sorry, the constitutionality of using the DNA that was allegedly on the knife sheath. And because I understand your argument is twofold. One, your client complains that a search was done of databases of other people to determine whether or not any of them might be related to the person who left the DNA on the knife sheath. That's thing one. Thing two is an objection to the law enforcement searching the DNA by testing it and getting a profile from the knife sheath without a warrant. My question goes to that latter point, understanding the basis for that, because I can't find any case law that would support that idea.
Isn't that interesting, guys? I mean, it goes on, and I encourage you to go to Law and Crime and watch the whole thing. I love this judge because I feel like the other one in Moscow, Idaho, kind of didn't have it in him to stand up to Ann Taylor if she was wrong. This judge is strong enough to do so. And he makes a very good point, right? He makes a really good point about the fact that Brian has no rights to say that they cannot use a relative's DNA to find him. You know, that'd be like saying, well, my sister went and gave her DNA, and no, you can't use that to find me if I committed a crime. No, that's wrong. And, you know, I mean, I give her credit. She's trying. She's fighting for her client, which, you know, is what her job is. But boy, she's really reaching there. And the way that Brian is sitting there looking disgusted, he's not a happy camper, is he? So let's go to News Nation and Banfield specifically and watch what Kaylee's dad has to say.
His lawyers say the way that the cops tracked him down was flawed, that the DNA tracing that led directly to him, that was an invasion of privacy, and that everything cops found after that should be thrown out. Again, which is pretty much the entire case against him. We didn't get a ruling on that today. The arguments are set to resume tomorrow. And in the meantime, I want to welcome to the show Steve Gonzalez, a longtime friend of the program. He lost his beloved daughter, Kaylee, in the King Road massacre, and he is following every minute of this case.
I just really want to say that I am impressed with Steve and his wife, his family, the way that they have fought for these kids throughout this entire investigation so far. Has he always been in the right? Has he said some things wrong? Probably, right? He is a grieving dad, but he hasn't given up, and he's not going to. He's there for these hearings. It's not even the trial yet, guys. He drove to Boise for these hearings, and that's, if I remember correctly, don't quote me, but I think it was like 3 hours away for him. So I really am impressed with how he's standing up, you know, and fighting for these kids, not just his daughter, but for these kids.
Steve, it's good to see you again. Thank you for being here. And I'm going to say Happy New Year because I'm hoping it will be a happier New Year for you. In the meantime, what do you make of this argument that his defense lawyers are putting forth in court right now?
I mean, it's a sign of desperation. They're definitely throwing everything out and trying to get, some chance of being able to, that is her job. She has to do everything. She has to exhaust every avenue that she possibly has. So we don't take it personal. But today was probably a hard blow for her. She's probably going to have a hard time sleeping tonight because, what happened today in the courtroom was very, very strong for prosecution.
I was going to ask you about that. Did you get a sense? I mean, as a non-lawyer, sometimes that's the best sense to get, right? Because that's what juries are. They're the non-lawyers. Did you get a sense one way or another from that judge? Because he's been tough all the way along since he got this case. Did you feel that he was giving her a run for her money?
I think he gave both sides a run for their money. I think he has a clear vision of where the day's hearing is going to go. And then he tries to keep that discussion close to those issues that need to be resolved during that day, during that session. So yeah, we talked with some of the lawyers today. We get a good sense that he's keeping things on a tight rail, and we have a summer trial, and we're not going to get there unless we have the right leadership that can keep everybody on the same path and communicating and getting things done in an orderly fashion. And I really feel like that's what he was doing today.
I agree.
You have a very kind and compassionate personal lawyer that's sort of giving you the guidance as you move through this process, Shannon Gray. We've talked with him a bunch of times on this program as well. He's very knowledgeable about Idaho law, and I'm wondering if he has sort of helped you to look at all the other things in the case against Bryan Kohberger. If for any reason the judge, and I don't think this is going to happen, but if the judge decides that everything after the DNA discovery that led to Bryan Kohberger has to be thrown out, they've still got the white Elantra, right? They've still got perhaps even phone records, because maybe the white Elantra would lead them to the phone if the DNA didn't. Does Shannon Gray, your lawyer, give you a good feel for the rest of the evidence in the case leading to a conviction?
Yes, he does. And we do communicate, and we try to work with the prosecution to make sure that we're all on the same page. And yeah, I think they have a strong case. Obviously, you want to have the strongest case possible, and having DNA, there's nothing stronger than that. And it's not going to be taken out of the court. So even if it was, yeah, there is still, I mean, there's still the Amazon order. They talked about that today. When you start seeing the things all add up, you can tell that this individual has had a history and was building up to this. It wasn't just some type of a crime of passion.
I am praying for you and your family and the other families who are affected by this as well, Steve, and we'll stay in touch as this hearing continues. We'll cross our fingers that you get the resolution that you deserve. Thank you for doing this, sir.
Thanks for watching.
All right. So there you have it. This case, guys, when we get to summer, we'll be spending more time on it. But I did just want to give a quick morning update on what's going on in the Bryan Kohberger hearings, right? All right. Well, be sure to stop in and see us at 6:00 p.m. Central Time tonight, every night. And we'll see you tomorrow morning as well. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for watching another episode of Granny's Crime Busters. We really appreciate each and every one of you. Don't forget to subscribe and like and even share the content. You can follow us on any of our other social media platforms at YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. We really appreciate you guys, and you can also email us at grannyscrimebusters@gmail.com. Thank you so much, and we will see you on the next one. Thanks, guys.